Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. In this quick guitar trick we're looking at the Dave Murray Trill. I've got two examples to showcase here and I'll break it down into some rules of thumb so you can apply it to your own playing, soloing and improvisation. It's a really handy trick to have in the bag. First excerpt I'm looking at here is from Number of the Beast. Okay, so let's dissect that a little bit. We're starting on the add of the third beat in the bar, and there's a series of pull-offs and hammers, which I'm referring to as a trill. You know, this sort of thing. So that's what it starts off with, is 15 to 14. Then we get a slide down to the 12, 14 to 12 3 times. And then we've got another slide down, followed by another group of 3, but this time being 12 to 10, or 10, yeah, 12 to 10. Then we have an 8th note on the 10th fret, slide it down to an 8th note on the 9th fret. The next bar, we sustain this 9th fret for most of it, but then we pick up in the 4th beat of the bar. So this time is a group of 4, but because this trill starts in the previous bar, you get this cool displaced sound. For more displacement, check out the link at the top right there. So on the 4th beat there, sliding up to the 15th fret, and on the add of 4, we start the trill. So we go 15 to 17, and then when we're in the next bar, we do that 3 more times. After this, we've got a group of 5 trills between the 15 and the 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What happens here is the next group starts on the first beat of the bar, which is a bit easier to get grips with. Again, this is a group of 3. 1, 2, 3. And to wrap this up, we've got another group of 3 between 15 and 18. Followed by a bend with a nice bit of vibrato on the 18th fret. Right, now this is quite a clinical breakdown. In all honesty, for learning purposes you might be better off going by feel. I think this is largely how Dave Murray plays, or at least improvises. I don't think it's meticulously structured, so much as felt, for lack of a better term. However, doing this can help identify patterns to emulate the sound. I mean, another way you could break it down if it feels a bit disjointed and you can't quite get to grips with where you change between trills, just look at the beats in the bar. So if we take a look at those last 2 bars to switch between the 15 and the 18, it's on the add of 2 in both of them. So if you look for beats guitarists tend to favour, that can also help identify trends that they're playing, although it's maybe not the most reliable approach. Obviously the more examples you look at, the more correlations you can make, but what could be possibly surmised from this one here? Well, groupings of 3 and changing on less standard or intuitive beats seem to be a large theme. There are groups of 5 or 4 trills as well. The notes are mainly 16ths, using 8th notes to transition between trills or between different sections. Looking at the intervals, the smallest interval is a semitone. There are some tones, and the largest seems to be 3 semitones. All fairly comfortable stretches. He's playing with very little picking, often going up and down the strings this way. The notes are all in key here as well, although just as a side note, there are definitely solos where he uses some outside notes, but they're generally more in passing than anything else. Okay, well that's pretty good, so let's go through the start of the Trooper solo and see how many of these things happen again, or if any other new rules pop up. Okay, so you'll probably notice a lot of the same ideas popping up here. We're starting on a slightly odd beat at the bar, the add of 4 is a kind of pickup. They're all 16th notes, the first bit's in groups of 4 here. We've got a stretch of 3 semitones. But what he's doing here is going across the strings rather than up and down them. So we can probably add that to the rule book, the Book of Dave. The next few bars I left in for context more than anything else. But we can see he's using longer notes to transition to the next trill. And this has got 4 groups of 3 again, all 16th notes. He does use triplets in other songs, but I'm trying to keep this lesson as concise as I can. We're still giving a decent overview, so I'm not going to get into that right now. And what this does is gives a display sound, because we've got groups of 6 and a 4/4 time signature. There's some sliding here, again not much picking, playing up and down the string again, and building to an 8th note bend. From those examples, let's try and compile a rough how-to if you want to get the basics of the Dave Murray Trill technique, add some of his sound into your own soloing. So mainly 16th notes. Do consider using triplets for a bit of variation. Groups of 3, 4 and 5 and longer groups as well. And I'd say this comes more from feel than from going, I'm going to do 3 here and 5 here and 4 there. Just kind of go with it, feel it out. Vertical and horizontal playing, so playing this way as well as this way with the trill. Comfortable stretches, so I can't really think of any songs where he does a major third as a trill, other than perhaps the sweep in Fear of the Dark, but please correct me if I'm wrong and you can think of any. Largely playing in key and not just using pentatonics. His playing is heavily blues influenced and there's a lot of pentatonics in it, but he does lean on the Phrygian and Aeolian modes in particular, and it kind of gives his playing a bit more of an edge than a kind of, blues rock sound. This technique is all over his soloing. These are but 2 of many examples out there, so if you want to go and research your own ones, I'd highly recommend doing that. See if you can add your own rules to the Book of Dave. Using that set of rules we just learned, what I'll do is improvise a solo over the back end of the Trooper, and hopefully this will give you a rough idea about how you can use this in a more musical or practical context. I've also got a much more in-depth look at his approach to soloing coming up, which I will link to in the top right when it's finished, so keep an eye out for that if this is out your street. If you like the snappy lessons like this, feel free to check out the Quick Tricks playlist, again which I'll link to up there. Cool, so as always I really hope this video has been useful for you guys. You picked up a new trick, which is pretty straightforward but still sounds really flashy, gotten a better idea of how to get a Dave Murray type sound, and picked up some new concepts to adapt and work into your own craft. If that has been the case and you've taken away some new information, found it informative, want to show some support for the channel, give it a wee pop in the YouTube algorithm, please do consider to share, like, comment and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.